This is the top flagship of Motorola's Edge series, the Moto Edge 50 Ultra. As a flagship and a camera phone, does it keep up with the competition? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our Moto Edge 50 Ultra review. While last year's top Edge model was the Edge 40 Pro, this year Moto has gone a tier beyond that to create the Moto Edge 50 Ultra. The Ultra is more pricey than this year's Pro model, but it brings more advanced cameras and a more powerful chipset. Also, only with the Ultra model can you get an alternative wooden backing, with a seamless transition of the wood from the back to the camera housing. This vegan leather option is quite premium as well. The craftsmanship of the eco leather is quite nice here, very authentic feeling, soft and leathery. You don't get a one-piece rear panel here, there's a glass island housing the cameras. The phone has a thin, matte frame made from aluminum, and overall it feels great in hand, sturdy with excellent grip. And as you'd expect from a flagship phone, the Edge 50 Ultra is IP68 rated for dust and water resistance. The display of the Edge 50 Ultra is basically the same as the Edge 50 Pros, a 6.7-inch OLED with a 1220p resolution and a 144Hz refresh rate. The display is covered by Gorilla Glass Victus, which is curved slightly at the edges. At 446 ppi, the panel is plenty sharp and contrasty. There's support for HDR10+ video too, but not Dolby Vision. The display is also quite bright. We measured a maximum of around 500 nits with the manual slider, and it can boost in auto brightness mode all the way up to nearly 1500 nits if needed. And the panel's 144Hz refresh rate provides a little bit more smoothness than your typical 120Hz one. It's available when you select the high refresh rate option in settings. The auto mode maxes out at 120Hz. Either way, it can dial down to 60Hz automatically when idling to save energy. For audio, the Edge 50 Ultra has a pair of stereo speakers. They have very good loudness, as well as excellent audio quality, with nice bass, great vocals, and well-presented highs. The Edge 50 Ultra has an under-display fingerprint scanner, which is as fast and reliable as they come. And the phone can come with 512 gigs or a terabyte of UFS 4.0 storage. That isn't expandable to microSD. Moto's new phones come with a new software experience out of the box called Hello UI, which runs on top of Android 14. As before, it's similar to stock Android, but with some custom Moto features, which you can find organized within the Moto app. This Moto app hub has been restyled for Hello UI, is better organized, and everything is made to fit on a single page, no scrolling required. All the same functionality of the old Moto UI is still there though. One new development is that Ready For and Moto Connect are gone, replaced by the new Smart Connect interface. It's very similar to Ready For, except that it includes an additional share hub, as well as a separate display panel through which you can connect to an external monitor. There's extra personalization available too, with the AI-generated wallpaper option, called Style Sync. And as far as software support goes, Moto promises 3 years of OS upgrades and 4 years of security patches for the Edge 50 Ultra. The Edge 50 Ultra actually doesn't get the top Android chipset. Instead, it's powered by the new Snapdragon 8S Gen 3. It's also built on a 4nm process, but it's a step down performance-wise. Still, the performance you do get here is flagship grade. It's something in between last year's Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and this year's Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. It's more than enough for multitasking, heavy gaming, and a smooth user experience. It's also worth mentioning that the benchmark numbers are significantly better than the Edge 50 Pros, which uses a Snapdragon 7 Gen 3. When it comes to thermal management, the Edge 50 Ultra doesn't do an excellent job, but it's okay for a flagship. In our prolonged stress tests, the phone throttled down quite quickly to 60-something% of maximum, and it became quite warm as well. The Edge 50 Ultra packs a 4500 mAh battery, and is quite solid when it comes to battery life. In our battery life tests, the phone earned an active use score of 12 hours and 56 minutes. It aced the call and streaming tests, and did well when it came to web browsing and gaming. Like the Edge 50 Pro, the Ultra is rated for 125-watt charging, and a charger comes in the box. With this adapter, the charging is incredibly fast. The phone is able to charge from 0 to 81% in 15 minutes, and a full charge took just 21 minutes. There's also support for 50-watt fast wireless charging and reverse wireless charging too. Now onto the cameras. On the back, the Edge 50 Pro has a 50-megapixel main cam, a 64-megapixel 3x telephoto cam, and a 50-megapixel ultrawide cam with autofocus. It's a more tricked-out setup than the Edge 50 Pros. All three of the cameras are different. During the day, the Edge 50 Ultra's main camera captures great-looking photos. They have a lot of pop thanks to the relatively high contrast and lively colors. Detail is very good, and we'd say that the Ultra's rendition of fine textures is a little bit more natural than what we saw from the Edge 50 Pro. Here's how the phone handles shots of people. The skin tone reproduction has been okayed by the color specialists at Pantone, for what that's worth. As we also saw on the Edge 50 Pro, the Edge 50 Ultra has a setting in the viewfinder that lets you directly apply Google Photos Enhanced processing. As a result, you get a notch up in saturation. However, if you shoot this way, you won't save a non-enhanced version on the side if you wanted one. Low light photos from the main camera have very good dynamic range, excellent detail, and well-controlled noise. Our only real complaint is that the color rendition could be more enthusiastic here. When it comes to video recording, the Edge 50 Ultra doesn't produce the same high quality as with the stills. The main cam's 4K footage is very heavily sharpened, lending an over-processed look. We do like the color rendition and the wide dynamic range though. Electronic stabilization can't really be switched off. The main camera's footage is smooth, but when moving, the fine detail can get smeared and blurry. Nighttime 4K footage from the main cam is decent, with alright detail, good dynamic range, and adequately saturated colors. There's also a night vision recording mode for the main cam. This does well to brighten up the shadows without notable compromises. Let's talk about the telephoto cam now. The quality of the 3x zoomed stills is respectable. There's plenty of fine detail, and while there is some graininess when you look for it, it's not in your face. You can use the telephoto cam to shoot macro close-ups, but the implementation isn't great. The phone would rather switch to a crop from the main camera way too early before you reach the actual minimum focusing distance of the zoom camera. You can get closer if you switch to the pro shooting mode, but you miss out on some image processing and the quality isn't as good. There is a 6x zoom toggle on the viewfinder. The 6x zoom results aren't exactly tack sharp, but they're decently detailed and usable. In low light, the 3x zoomed photos have plenty of color saturation, unlike those from the main cam. The white balance can come out a bit warmer too. Detail is quite good, and the dynamic range is again great. The telephoto cam's 4K videos are decent overall, but they have a bit of softness to them. Now the ultrawide camera. Its daylight photos are quite good. The detail rendition is a bit more artificial than the other two cameras, but still nice for an ultrawide. And the colors and dynamic range are great. The autofocus allows for some close-ups, with an exaggerated perspective too. This also means you can shoot macro close-ups, and in the macro mode, there's a bit of digital zoom applied too. The results aren't the sharpest, but they're not half bad. In low light, the ultrawide camera does a decent job. The detail is on the soft side if you look closely. Exposures are bright, and the dynamic range is wide. The white balance also tends to be a bit warm. 4K videos from the ultrawide cam are decent for this sort of camera, but you again get heavy sharpening here. The colors are also notably different from the main cameras. The Edge 50 Ultra has the same 50-megapixel autofocus selfie cam as on the Pro model. The quality is superb, with excellent detail. Skin tones are likable, and colors are very nice overall. Dynamic range is excellent too. So there you have it guys, the Moto Edge 50 Ultra. It's premium through and through, and compared to other flagships, you get a unique and luxurious design, a near-stock Android software experience, and super fast charging, with a charger that comes in the box. The main downside here is that the video recording quality is unimpressive, but if that doesn't bother you, then the Edge 50 Ultra is a solid flagship that's well worth considering. Thanks for watching guys. If you're looking for alternatives, you can check out our reviews of the Moto Edge 50 Pro and the Xiaomi 14. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.